For today's video, we are going to be talking about things that make you instantly stylish. This was a trending topic a while back here on YouTube, but as usual, I'm late to every party, so we're going to be talking about it today. Thought it was kind of a fun, interesting conversation, so I thought I would throw my 2 cents into it. So let's get into it. The first thing I think that makes you instantly stylish is thrifting and buying secondhand/vintage. I do recognize that going to actual physical thrift stores is not accessible for everybody. Some people live in isolated places, but I do think that there are a lot of online options now. And ultimately, I think thrifting is the most sustainable thing that you can do fashion wise. In the long term, it's always going to be the better solution, both for the planet and the people. Of course, we can't avoid purchasing new all the time, but I do think thrifting and buying secondhand/vintage when you can is great and important. And not only that, but it makes you stylish. I think because thrifting is all unique, one of a kind items, which some of them, were maybe mass produced at one point, are all kind of standalone now. When you go into a thrift store, it's not the same as going into a Target, where every item is repeated, it's all the same. You are forced to kind of seek out what speaks to you. And for me, when it comes to style, I don't see being fashionable or trendy as being stylish. Style to me is a personal thing. So thrifting always just feels more personal than buying your clothes, from modern stores. You took the time to source that piece out. That particular clothing item spoke to you. While we can purchase, impulsively secondhand still, I feel like you are far less likely to do impulse buys when buying secondhand. Thrifting kind of forces you to think about things a little more. You gotta analyze if it's gonna work with other pieces in your closet. And a lot of the time, it's not about the brand or anything, it's just about that piece itself. Like the joy and the connection you have to a piece is more personal. And obviously, if you see people in copy paste outfits from Amazon, that person in the fully thrifted outfit is going to stand out next to them. That is the outfit that's going to catch my attention. I think clothes should be personal. I think oversaturation is a bad thing. While some trends can be fun and pretty harmless, it ultimately still creates this idea of overconsumption, especially pieces that are like very distinct. But I do think the oversaturation of certain items does affect how you perceive it and how you even perceive the wearer sometimes. I fall for trends sometimes. Sometimes I feel pressured to conform, but I do think thrifting is a good antidote to that. It keeps you from buying these, mass-produced copy-paste items. It forces you to focus more on your personal style and what you like, but then also you just look cool and unique and fresh and interesting because it is kind of impossible to replicate what you're wearing. To have that exact combination of items and pieces, the fact that it's so specific and special to you is what makes it stylish. For me personally, I love thrifting. I love buying secondhand and vintage. Most of my wardrobe is. And while thrift stores and resellers, can mark up their prices quite a lot, for the most part, thrifting is also the most affordable option. Other than like ultra fast fashion prices, which is not good, it's actually enabled me to buy a lot of really nice high quality pieces, even designer pieces, at very, very low affordable prices. Lower than I could get at a store like Target or something. So there's a lot of beautiful, wonderful clothing out there just waiting to be loved. And as I said, it allows for you to get higher quality clothing. So all in all, I think thrifting is a win-win. Even if your style leans more modern and contemporary and trendy versus vintage, there's still so many options at the thrift stores. The thrift stores are overrun with that kind of thing, to be honest. I do think there's a wide variety you can find at the thrift store. The fact that those items can't really be replicated, the fact that you personally chose them, there's a lot of reasons why I think thrifting makes you more stylish. And piggybacking off of that, the next thing I think makes you instantly stylish is curating/collecting. I already started to get into this a little bit with my previous point, but building that wardrobe up over time, that is ultimately the best way to approach fashion, in my opinion. People ultimately look the most stylish when they curate and collect things over time. This could just mean clothes in general, but also specific curated collections like shoes, accessories, bags. My love of clothing extends to a lot of areas, but I think kind of focusing on a specific item that you're into can be helpful. If you have an amazing collection of shoes, that can become part of your signature style, something that's recognizable about you. People that tend to reach for similar repeated items, I think, come across as stylish. Feels like they know themselves, they know what they like. For me, I've been collecting a lot of buttons, like vintage pins and things like that, and they're fun to interchange and mix and match. Having these like specific collections. You can change them out with each outfit, and so collecting things is obviously useful. But if you are more of a minimalist, I would say focus and boil down on specifics of what you like. If you're a jacket person, maybe you have a couple of them. The collection can be as big or small as you like, obviously. That's not really what matters here. More about having signature pieces that are on constant rotation, that you have a variety of options to choose to mix and match with. Having certain collections, I think, can help make your style feel more cohesive and overall just a little bit more intentional and focused. Another thing I think that makes you instantly stylish is to tailor your clothing or just wear well-fitted clothing. I'm not saying don't dress baggy. I still think fit and proportion matter if you are dressing baggy, but it's all about what is specific to you and your body and your preferences. Tailoring your clothes is very expensive and time-consuming, which is why I don't do it. I would probably benefit from it though, because I am short. I struggle constantly with clothing fitting me properly. Certain areas of my body are wider, certain parts are more narrow. So finding clothes that fit is a struggle, I'm sure, for all of us. With that said, there are solutions. Obviously, learning to tailor your clothes yourself is a good way to go. I am not there yet with my sewing, and I don't even own a sewing machine. So maybe this tip doesn't apply to everybody, but I do think there are kind of makeshift, temporary ways you can apply this. Maybe you have a nice pair of pants and you tuck your shirt in and you belt it so it's a little bit more snatched at the waist. Maybe you take a t-shirt and you pull it back and tie it with a hair tie. There's lots of ways we can kind of alter and adjust garments to fit us a little bit better or adjust it for that outfit specifically. But fit and proportion, I do think, matter a lot when it comes to fashion and style. And as I said, dressing baggy intentionally is one thing. Wearing clothes that do not fit you is another. To me, people always look the most stylish also when they're comfortable. So you want to be able to breathe in your clothes. You don't want to swim in your clothes either. Finding somewhere in the middle that is comfortable for you is ideal, but an outfit that doesn't focus on the fit or proportions is going to look a lot different next to an outfit that does. So all in all, when it comes to clothes that fit you, you obviously get to decide what that means. But in my opinion, taking into consideration your height, where your waist is at, those sorts of things, I think can elevate your style pretty dramatically. Another thing I think makes people instantly stylish is when they have a signature color. The first person that comes to mind is that green lady that lives in New York. That's obviously like an extreme example, but we obviously all have colors that we love and prefer more than others. Some people's signature color is black. They wear black all the time. I'd say at any given moment, I am probably wearing some kind of combination of red, green, blue, white, or black. Brown has been in my rotation quite a lot now too. And this obviously, can fluctuate and change with time and seasons and your moods. But I do think having go-to colors that you will always love is a good thing. Again, consistency, I think, is part of the thing that makes certain people stylish. I think overall, it's good to curate sort of a color palette for your wardrobe. Not to say that you have to have super harsh boundaries on that, because I sure don't. But overall, I think knowing what colors you like and what you will consistently wear, for the most part, stay within that. And the thing about having consistent colors in your wardrobe is that it makes it a lot easier to get dressed, because you can mix and match everything, because everything will, go with each other. Having a signature color or colors, color palette, I think makes people very stylish. Another thing that I think makes you stylish is pattern mixing, which is one of my favorite things on this earth. Who would I be if not for pattern mixing? Again, pretty much at any given moment, I'm wearing at least 2 patterns. And again, there's different levels of intensity to this. There's very subtle forms of pattern mixing, like pinstripes, maybe small polka dots, and then you have your louder, bolder versions of it, like pairing florals with plaid. While I do think that there is somewhat of an art and science to pattern mixing, I think it's a skill you can learn and develop and get better at. I do think it sort of works the best when you just go for it. And to me, boldness, innovation, creativity, those things are stylish to me. While I can appreciate minimalism and I do partake in it occasionally, not every day I want to think super hard about what I'm wearing. For the most part, the outfits that resonate with me the most are busy and there's a lot of visual interest to them. So with pattern mixing, obviously the more visual interest you're adding, the more visually interesting it is. And I think anybody that has guts, again, is stylish. For me, style is not about being fashionable. It's sort of a personal proclamation, right? So a very plain outfit to me doesn't often have much to say, and that's fine. That's the intention of that outfit. When I see someone who pattern mixes, it communicates to me that they're confident, that they are willing to try new things, that they're experimental. While a lot of fashion is rooted in classics, and I think that's important to have something that can withstand the test of time, something that has longevity, I think forward thinking experimentation is ultimately the heart of fashion at the end of the day. So to me, filling an outfit up with all sorts of textures and patterns and colors, it just sparks joy a little bit more for me. It's what I tend to feel inspired by often. My next point might feel a little bit oxymoronic to that last one, but it's to match slash coordinate. But I think matching slash coordinating makes you very stylish. I still think you can match while you pattern clash. And what I mean by that is like threading a color through the whole look. Not everyone is into the super matchy look, and I do think there needs to be a balance to it, but I think it communicates a level of thought, a level of preparedness, intentionality there. A lot of fashion and style and art in general is kind of subliminal and unconscious, like we just do it, we don't think too hard about it. So I still think it's important to maintain that aspect of getting dressed, be guided by your creativity, you don't want to be planning things too hard. But I do think a level of coordination helps to elevate an outfit. I think an outfit where everything is completely different, it can be fun to look at, but it's not necessarily the most practical thing. It's not necessarily the most consistent either. And again, bringing color back into the conversation, being able to coordinate your looks, being able to style things together. You should have a wardrobe where a lot of the pieces can be, interchanged. Having a cohesive wardrobe looks stylish. Having a cohesive outfit is stylish. For me, I will notice, when someone takes that extra time to, match the shade of their shoes to their hat or something. Thought and effort certainly communicates stylishness, in my opinion. The next thing I think that makes you instantly stylish is to not wear recognizable brands. Not to say that you can't do this at all, but if you're going to, I think that you should be intentional about it. Whether it's a graphic tee or something with logos all over it, there are ways to incorporate that, I think, and have it still be stylish. But I think that there is a way to approach it that certainly overdoes it, and in my opinion, comes across as tacky. Typically, I avoid words like that because this is a non-judgmental place. But I do think the logomania stuff is tacky. Again, to each their own, but there's something about needing to flex the clothes that you're wearing that comes across as just the most unstylish thing ever to me. It doesn't feel like it's about the clothes at that point. It feels like it's about the brand. Not to say that you can't buy beautiful clothes from luxury brands. I understand, that can be people's style, but for the most part, it comes across as you just trying to signal that you have something expensive to other people, and that's not what style is about. So to me, excessive branding, it sort of takes the fun out of it. It feels corporatized, it feels disingenuous. But like I said, if you're going to go about it, like I'm not going to hate on you for wearing like a Levi's tee or something. As always, these are nuanced conversations. There's plenty of designer stuff I like. Star Glamour, Vivienne Westwood. There's so many cool brands out there that I would say, partake in the logomania. But I think that there's a way to approach it tastefully. But all in all, when someone looks cool, it's because they look cool. It very little has to do with the fact that you can recognize something that they're wearing. And for me, I'm kind of more likely to assume that that person bought that item to fit in. But all around, I would say avoid the hype and like pressure around those kinds of pieces. Even though you see, people all across social media in these items, popular trendy brands does not style make. The next thing that makes you instantly stylish is dressing for the season / weather. Yes, I think that you do kind of stick out like a sore thumb if you are not appropriately dressed for the season. Where I'm from, a good chunk of the population wears hoodies and basketball shorts through the entire winter. A little different out here. But every time I see someone dressed that way, I'm wondering if they're cold. The top part of them is not, but the bottom is. So coordinating your outfit to be consistently within the season, I think, helps make you look a little bit more stylish. Wearing a fur coat in July might be a little bit awkward. Wearing swim trunks outside in the middle of February, live your life, I guess. but people that are plugged into not just the fashion world, but the world around them immediately communicate more style. But what doesn't work, in my opinion, again, is being freezing, being overly hot. So I think dressing appropriately, seasonally, making sure that your body is safe and taken care of, those are things that are stylish. It's very unstylish to sacrifice your comfort and safety for clothing. Another thing that makes you instantly stylish is to have personal style / personality. Yeah, that sounds kind of obvious and redundant, but I guess more specifically what I mean is curating your outfits, your wardrobe for your own personal gaze, your specific preferences. People that are the most stylish are not considering what other people are doing. People that are the most stylish have a sense of self. They know who they are. They have done that self-reflective work. Again, time, money, resources, all these things come into play. But even with those limitations, you can still develop that sense of self. There's so many things that you can do to communicate who you are through your look and appearance and clothing. So having a strong sense of self, I think, immediately makes people more stylish. I've already repeated myself several times, but mass-produced things, seeing the same item over and over and over again, it's not telling me anything about you seeing you in that item. Whereas, something you picked out specifically because you liked it, you were drawn to it, that's going to tell me a lot more. Personal style can obviously take a while to develop, and there's not really, an end game in sight. I think a lot of us keep working to achieve this sort of ideal version of ourselves where one day, we'll have it figured out and that's that. But that's not how life works. And it would be pretty boring if it did work that way, because what comes after that, Knowing who you are, checking in with yourself, that's just a consistent thing you have to do throughout your life, but it doesn't have to be big and overwhelming and scary. Getting to know yourself can be cool and beautiful and fun and exciting. So if you have a strong sense of self, great. But if it's something you're working on and you don't know where to start, of course, start small. A lot of the time we know what's right in here intuitively. So trust your gut, go with what you like. But I do believe life is, best lived when you're being yourself. Fashion looks best when you're being yourself. We have finally arrived to my last point, and the last thing I have to say for today that makes you instantly stylish is mixing old and new. Obviously, we've talked about thrifting, secondhand, vintage clothes. It's not feasible for most people to do that with their entire wardrobe. I think it's fine to buy new clothes with intention. In a perfect world, everywhere we would shop would be ethical, sustainable, give a shit about their workers, care about the planet and the longevity of the pieces, but we don't. So with that said, I think it's important to mix old and new. Like I said, an entirely thrifted wardrobe isn't going to work for everybody. There are things that are incredibly difficult to thrift, like shoes, and there's going to be circumstances where all of us are purchasing things new, even if we are the most, dedicated secondhand shoppers. So knowing when to buy old, when to buy new, I think that's important. And people that can blend the two together, of course, are very stylish. I don't think that there's anything that communicates style to go on Amazon and just click add to cart for an entire outfit and then just put that outfit on. But somebody that has, I don't know, that H&M skirt that they got 5 years ago, the vintage top they just thrifted, they mix it with the tights that they got from Target. Your wardrobe should be a healthy mixture of things, I think, but the style comes together in the styling. So I think embracing like a cool eclectic mix of pieces is the way to go. It's how I style myself personally, and I think shooting for this blend is reasonable for a lot of people, but I think overall stylish people know how to mix old and new pieces together. So that concludes today's video. I kept getting so tongue-tied, but I hope this was coherent. Yeah, in either case, I hope you enjoyed these ramblings. I would love to know what you think makes someone instantly stylish. Maybe include just some tips and tricks, things you've learned about personal style, anything you want to share. But I really appreciate you if you watch this entire video. A lot of people who watch my videos are actually not subscribed, so if you do watch my content and enjoy it, consider subscribing, please. Even little interactions like a like or a share goes a long way. Currently trying to reach 10,000 subscribers, which is an insane number, but I'm determined. I think we can do it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!